Welcome to the Practical Ascension Podcast. I'm your host and soul alchemist, Tracy Goody. Stay with me for practical guidance and flow for your modern life through this time of ascension. Divine genius. Perfection is not a puzzle piece, and we need you to be a puzzle piece right now. So as I was tuning into the collective Akashic Records and the message that really wants to be channeled through today, this idea of personal development sometimes carrying with it the energy that we must be perfect, we must be productive, and we must continually be moving forward to prove that this stuff is working to ourselves and to prove that to those around us. So, however, this perspective is really only amplifying that inner judgment, that self-doubt, that fear, those things that lie within you. So the way I've been guided to share about personal development and perfection today is through the larger lens of the collective of humanity. Now, we've all heard the analogy that we are a piece of the puzzle. So consider that a puzzle piece, a perfect puzzle piece, doesn't exist. There's no uniform puzzle piece out there that's a perfect square, the same length on all sides. When we strive towards this energy of perfection and a certain mold of what our ideal should look like, we're effectively squeezing ourselves into this box, right? So since we have such a deeply held running subconscious and societal programming, it can for a while feel like we're moving in the right direction when we're doing our personal development work and we're productive, maybe creating habits that uplift us and feeling great, until you get derailed. And this is when operating under kind of that umbrella, that energy of perfection, that instigates the judgment and the fears of being outcast or abandoned. It's like your self-worth is tied into what you do. So whenever we become derailed, which is a normal part of this cycle, it's a normal part of taking time out for ourselves. But if our self-worth is tied to that, that turns instead of a productive time in a different way, instead of a time where we can really reflect and we can go within and we can decide, if this is the path that we want to be taking or if we want to adapt, if do we want to shift, we can just go into this kind of spiraling depression. So when we have this idea of perfection tied into what we do, this is what can happen when we have those ebbs instead of the flows, right? Most of us are pretty comfortable when things are flowing and we're productive and we're creative and things are going good and we can feel good about ourselves. But then when we get into the ebb aspect where we do need that more looking within, that stillness, that kind of allowing the divine timing to catch up, and that's when the depression can dip in. So I'm suggesting a new perspective for your personal development, one where you don't strictly follow any one teaching, because I find that if we're following one specific teaching, sometimes we want to get really perfect, really structured in that way. So I am suggesting that you don't strictly follow any one teaching or way of being, where you don't try and fit yourself into the standard and ideal of that square puzzle piece, right? So instead of this ascension personal development structure, it's of your own creation, right? It's more of who you are being revealed to you as you progress on your journey. Now, before you were born, you created this puzzle piece that that you call you, right? This is you. You are the puzzle piece you created. And you encoded all of your divine brilliance and unique energy within it. You knew that you would be raised in a program that would ask you to stay in the square puzzle piece, but that you would always feel this nudge and often a scream, if your experience is anything like mine, that you're not here to fit the square. You are here to see what you are really made of. You're here to create from this place of unique divine genius. So when you're aware of your divine genius, when you crack this code of what it looks and feels like, and you begin to amass kind of the blueprint of your signature puzzle piece, you begin to see how you fit seamlessly into the collective and how important it is that you maintain your focus and expression in this puzzle piece. So not worrying about what other people are doing with their puzzle piece, how that's coming along for them, or how perfect their puzzle piece might look, you're focusing on your own piece. So your awareness of this puzzle piece and kind of this agreement, yes, I recognize that it feels better, that it's better for me and everyone involved if I let go of this attachment to this square box and focus on my piece instead. This is just the first step. So this is a beautiful, powerful step. But this is just the tip of what's truly possible for you on a soul satisfaction level, from a standpoint of expressing from your divine genius. once you begin to get the details of what your piece actually is, this collaboration process really, really begins. So you're next invited to accept and embody these pieces of yourself that make up this entire puzzle piece. You begin to recognize that your piece is not just your physical body and what you do, but it's your entire energy signature and what you are. So what you embody and what you emit and then create in the world around you collectively, all of this is part of your puzzle piece. And you really need to get this kind of radical self-acceptance. It's really called for here because you're likely going to have to work out old programs and ways of thinking and believing that are not in coherence with who you really are. This is worth it. This can be known as shadow work, mindset work, any of that. It is worth it. It is worth it. It is worth it to put that time in for that. Because as you accept yourself in increasingly profound ways, you open the gateway for your soul self, your divine genius to really emerge. So you're moving from acceptance. First, you're aware that this is there, and then you're moving into acceptance. You're breaking down old programs. You're aligning and creating coherence within your mindset that agrees with that inner being. And from there, you're moving to embodiment and trust. So this kind of energy of certainty, of feeling and knowing you are exactly where you need to be, that everything is working out in your favor, that it is safe and it is beneficial, not only to accept yourself, but to live daily in your own energy standard, remembering who you are, claiming that empowerment. In this place, any victim and fear-based thinking, it can't stand up, right? You might be aware of it and you might notice that it's there, but it's not going to stand up and it's not going to get its footing. It can't get the footing needed to convince you that you're not enough or that you should not move forward on a project because there's fear, right? It can't get that footing whenever you're embodying your divine genius. Instead, when you're in this state of embodiment, you rise above and you are living at this new level of awareness where you can see the old programs playing out, but you choose not to buy into them and you choose not to allow your life to be guided by them. So once you have allowed that knowledge, this acceptance, and this embodiment, you get to the really fun part. So you get to really be collaborating with your divine genius. You get to flow with these beautiful, heart expansive projects, creations, paradigms, relationships, journeys. You get to flow all of that in your experience and out into the world. And again, most importantly, the energy that you're emitting whenever you're in this state activates your puzzle piece so that your divine light mission is more illuminated than ever before. You begin to recognize that your puzzle piece is actually an entire puzzle within it, right? So this concept of unity, consciousness, and oneness starts to climb to a whole new level. And this cycle, it's not just something you do once. You don't just become aware of yourself and then accept yourself and then embody yourself and then express it out. This cycle spirals and moves and expands and it contracts as we go about our lives. There's no particular endpoint, just a cycle of discovery, acceptance, embodiment, and expression, leading to kind of this depth of purpose and this centered alignment that will consistently knock you over with just how magical and powerful you and the universe are together as a team. So take some time today and really acknowledge how far you've come, to witness this beautiful array of self-knowing that you've collected so far, to appreciate your self-acceptance that you've expanded into. Our cycles are really speeding up, and so your discernment and your awareness and adaptability is going to be key for thriving and enjoying this next chapter, which is going to last quite a while here on Earth. So the collective really needs you to be your own puzzle piece right now, right? It needs you to take a stand and choose empowerment over victim energy every step along the way so that you can rise and you can hold space for the collective to follow. You're ahead of the curve here if this information is really drawing to you. You're on the leading edge right now, and there are millions that are here with you on this leading edge. Focus on your piece. Focus on your piece. That's your key. Now, this message, this flow of knowing, accepting, embodiment, and expression is a major focus of mine right now in my own divine genius work. So if this message is resonating with you, I encourage you to stay connected through my email list and receive access to some of my most powerful guided journeys, and that information is in the show notes below. So I thank you so much for joining me today. Have an amazing week.